Hey, good people. It's your girl, D. Garrett, back here at the Level Up Alliance podcast, where we're talking all things generational wealth and legacy, entrepreneurship, and alliances. Today, we have a special guest, Courtney Austin. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Level Up Alliance podcast, where we're talking all things legacy, entrepreneurship, and alliances. And today I am joined with a beautiful guest, Courtney Austin, who is an entrepreneur with a couple different businesses. So, Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Yes. So tell us a little bit about who Courtney Austin is and how you leveled up to get to where you are.
Okay, so I'm a mother first. I have a son. He just turned 18. We're getting ready to usher him off into his next phase of life, which is college. I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I started basically through corporate America. So I went through the traditional ranks of going to go get, my master's degree. Well, my bachelor's first. Then I went on to get my master's degree. Okay. But all through work, I always had like a side hustle.
Okay.
So I always did something. Like I've done, ever since like I was 16, I've been hustling. Like
right.
I was selling shoes out the trunk. Remember when like Air Force Ones and bathing apes was popping? I was doing that. I had vending machines.
Okay.
I was taking pictures at the club. Like I've done everything.
Wow.
So
entrepreneur hustle.
Yeah. So when I was at my my last corporate America job, well, let me rewind. So I had landed a really good job at Lockheed Martin, and we traveled a lot. I was a proposal analyst, and I bought my first house when I was 24.
Ooh, congrats.
So when I was going through the process of home buying, I really clicked with my realtor. She was a lady named Barbara Alvarez. She's passed away since then through cancer, but she was like a real go-getter. She had like this fire about her, and she made real estate look like fun. So I was like, I think I want to get my license. I think this seemed like it was very easy, know. So I got my license. She told me what to do to get my license. I went through the Champion School of Real Estate. I was doing my classes while at work. I did everything online, but I took the prep class in person. So we sat down, made a game plan. She's like, if you save X amount of dollars, I think at that time it was like $30,000, then you can quit your job and come do real estate full time. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went through school, got my license, quit my job.
Okay. Deuces.
So then once I like got into it, I'm young at this time. I'm like 25 years old. And so at my job, I'm making $63,000 a year. Plus we had incentives where like we would get per diem when we traveled. And because even though we were salary, it was government. So we also were able to get overtime, anything over 45 hours. So I'm doing that. And I got my little side hustle going on because I was doing taxes on the side. So I'm like, now I'm full-time realtor. And, I was too immature at the time to be successful at it because it's like, I don't know how to manage my time. It's like, it seems fun because it's like, I'm going to lunch, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But, you're young and you don't have anybody that trusts you to buy a house because you ain't got that much experience, right?
Right.
So that was short-lived.
Okay.
And I realized this is a grind. I'm like, so once I started adding up the numbers, I'm like, at that time, like, $5,000 was like a good commission, right? To sell a house because this is when houses was still like $185, So it's like I gotta sell X amount of houses in order to even make the money that I was making.
That's smart,
at corporate America. So I was like, it's not worth my time. Yeah. It's too much grind. So I was like, let me go back to work. So I went back to work, and then I was working at Samsung in Richardson, and I did that for a couple years. I had a friend. I always did taxes on the side, and so one of my friends was like, "You should open up your own tax company." And I was like, "Well, how do I do that?" And they were like, "I got a friend. He gonna show you how to do it." And I was like, "Okay." So
Okay.
he hooked me up with his friend, and I was like, "This is simple. Like I can definitely do this." So it just so happened like alignment. It was just crazy because at the time that I was getting ready to launch my own tax firm,
Uh-huh.
my job was doing layoffs.
Ah.
So by the time I got my notice of layoff, January had started, and that's when tax
Tax
season
season kicked
starts.
off.
Yeah, so since then I've like been 100% entrepreneur, never looked
Wow.
back, and it's been over 10
What
years
year?
now.
Okay, I was gonna say, how
Yeah,
old were you at the time?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I earned my MBA while I was at that job, and I never got a chance
You
to
never
use
used it?
it. Yeah,
Wow.
but
That's
yeah,
a blessing. In the name of your the business that you have, what is it called?
Austin Financial.
Austin Financial.
Yes,
Okay. So Austin Financial, and of course taxes. Taxes is huge as far as just not just filing, but just really understanding. So I'm glad that we're connected there, because I don't know that I've actually had anybody on the podcast yet that comes from that background.
hmm
But outside of that, because the way that we initially connected was on the construction side and
correct.
development. And so tell me about how you leveled up to even get into development. I mean, because you shared real estate, and
hmm
being a sales agent wasn't her thing, but
Right.
yeah, development. And I was telling her, I've been there, done that,
Yeah.
but it's something to explore. So I commend you for, number one, being a woman in construction. So
hmm
that's definitely something I was like, I gotta have you on the show. But share how you got into that.
So I always was interested in real estate. I knew I wanted to be in real estate in some capacity,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew being a realtor was not my thing
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not. I'm kind of really like matter of fact and like straight to the point. So I'm not gonna coerce you into buying this house,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't want to show you 20 houses and you still, undecided. I was just like, are you gonna buy it or not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I'm like real analytical. Like I deal with numbers all the time, and I'm about like the profit, but I also like the design aspect, and I like taking something from a concept and bringing it into life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how I got into the construction side was I had a friend who he was building a home and he couldn't finish the project.
Mm.
So the home sat for like 2 years and no
Wow.
one would come in and help finish the project. So
Whoa.
I offered, hey, I have the money. I'll, help you finish it, and we could split it, and because I want to learn how to do new construction.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, okay. So that was a very challenging process because the original contractor that was on that job was just not good.
Mm.
And then it was in an HOA, and so like the
Mm.
HOA was like, complaining, it had stipulations, and there was so much rework that had to be done. And then,
Wow.
like, I'm a novice in this field, so I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, I don't know, I can't tell that this is not good or this is going to cause a leak, or but
Right.
I'm finding contractors or people that I can trust that's kind of telling me, hey, coach me along the way. And so when I was a realtor before, at one of my firms that I was at, I knew a good friend of mine now. His name is Parham. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey, could you list this property for me?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, sure. And so once I finished, I had him list the property. So then once we closed and I saw that commission check, it was like $6,500, and I was like, "You ain't even doing nothing." So I was like, "What I gotta do to get my license back?" And he was like, "I think you just gotta take a couple classes, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can come over to the brokerage I'm at." And I'm like, "Okay." So I got my license reinstated
Okay.
because I was like, "I'm not gonna leave money
On
on
the
the table,
table.
like that 3% add up."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna get my license again, and at least like I don't have to use a realtor to search properties for me. I
Mm-hmm.
can list my own properties,
Mm-hmm.
and it all goes hand in hand." So
Yeah.
from that, I just continue to buy lots, vacant lots, and then get the plan, hire a builder, build on it, rinse and repeat. So now I'm more engulfed in it to where I'm like in the day to day operations. I'm, doing the design part. I'm, going to meet with different subs. I'm, like doing, because now I transitioned from affordable housing to luxury, and it's
Okay.
more moving pieces that goes along with this. And I wanted to be able to understand the process more
Okay.
so that I can continue to scale up. So now I am doing more of the boots on the ground work. So I'm on the site, making the decisions. I'm calling contractors. I'm, doing a
Dealing
lot
with the
of,
municipalities.
yes.
Yeah. That is huge. I mean, so how long have you been in that phase of your, I guess, experience on the building side, or since you went back and got your license? How long has that
So
been?
that started about 8 years ago.
Okay.
But I didn't really get into it because I had a brand new tax company that
Mm.
I was growing
Mm-hmm.
at the time. So that was my bread and butter. And I would just do
Gotcha.
like a house or two on the side a
Okay.
year. So now I've kind of flipped. I've scaled down
Mm-hmm.
the tax business so that I could scale up
Mm-hmm.
the real estate,
Okay.
because real estate is where you're going to generate the wealth.
Yes.
Taxes is kind of like it's already on autopilot,
Yeah.
but it's just so much rigmarole that comes with that. And
Mm.
the industry as a whole, like if we want to be honest, it has a negative stigma attached to it because it's a lot of fraud that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And there's just so much going on in the government to where they're like, they're eliminating a lot of that because they're
Right.
losing money like every year paying out these fraudulent tax returns, right?
Ugh.
So it's like I deal with my core clients that are like solid, that's good. They don't want all the they don't want me to cross
Finagling.
that line.
Right.
Yeah, like they on the up and up.
Right.
I ain't getting no crazy calls. Where my
Mm-hmm.
money? None of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and anything that's above me, I've partnered with my CPA. They handle everything.
Good.
He has his JD and everything. So, yeah.
Good, good. That sounds like a well-oiled machine that you got going
Yes.
there. That's good. Now, how many projects do you have going right now?
So currently we have 6 projects going.
Wow. Okay, and of course DFW, W Metroplex only.
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about either how you selected the lots, or is it similar designs? Tell me a little bit about how you decide on what to do where.
So everything depends on the area, right? It's location, location, location.
Yes.
That's the three things in real estate. So in our lower tier markets, like if we're building like in like Oak Cliff or Southern Dallas, depending on the price point.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm building a house that's like around 330, 350, anything below 400, for that I would probably use a plan that I've already done because it's like rinse and repeat, and I'll just either change the elevation. The elevation is like the exterior of the home, and then maybe some of the color schemes of the
Okay.
interior, right? But as we're moving into the luxury areas, everything has to be one of one. So
Got it.
in these areas now it's more custom. So I'm taking more time on developing the plans, and sometimes I work with a design team. I'll hire an actual designer. Because we may think we have good taste, but sometimes like your taste might not be,
Right.
but sometimes I'll do the design myself too.
Okay.
It just depends. So like for example, there's a project that's just completed in Lakewood, and that's listed at 2.5. A designer was definitely brought in
Okay.
for that, because when someone's spending that type of money, you want to make sure that you're selecting the right finishes, because the people at this price point know the difference between silk and satin,
That
right?
part.
So like you can't just, push them
Slide
anything.
in
They
there.
can tell, they have a trained eye. So you definitely, it's just all situational.
Okay. Okay. That's good. I think that brings up a good, unique point about when you said, because I was thinking about when you were saying design, your team. So tell me about what's a core team that you have, like for every project versus, because I was like, are you actually, architectural background or anything, like have you picked up anything, like how did you get to that point, or do you outsource certain things? And tell me how that's set up, if you don't mind.
So it varies like
Okay.
per project, right? So like on the project that I just mentioned just now, going back to the previous story I told you about where I called my guy like, Parham, can you list this house? So since then, him and I have partnered up on deals, right? So
Okay.
he's one of my partners. So like for that deal, it's me, Parham, and another friend of ours. Her name is Arzu. So Arzu actually found that lot.
Okay.
It was a tear down. That was a rare opportunity because the lot itself had a lot of challenges. Half of the lot was in like a flood zone. We had to get different architects and engineer approvals in order to even be able to tear down and build construction on it
Yeah.
because the city wouldn't approve certain things. So that was like a process in itself. And then obviously it takes a lot more upfront capital. And when you already have other projects going on, like it's only so much, and you don't want to over leverage yourself, especially
Yes.
now with the market being kind of like fickle. It's not like it was like post COVID, everything was going. No matter what you threw up, it was going. And there was all kind of projects over list price. Everything was going
Right.
on multiple offer situations day one.
Yeah.
Now you have to be more strategic
Mm-hmm.
and you have to build correctly, so
Yeah.
you don't have too many days on market and
Right.
so yeah, it depends. So like you always want to align yourself with a good builder. If you're going to GC it yourself, you definitely want really good subs because some subs work good on like affordable, but some don't work that well in luxury. And that was something that we kind of all learned.
Okay.
Say like going through the process, like, and cheaper doesn't always mean better. Like you get
Facts.
what you pay for in a lot of instances. So sometimes you'll end up paying twice as much trying to go the cheap route because you have to get it redone. It's not done right, or. So yeah.
So even when it comes to like the subcontractors that you select, what kind of I guess somebody, if they're interested in getting into that space, what kind of due diligence would you say that you would recommend for them to check on that subcontractor as far as their experience and stuff? What do you guys look for based on what you've learned?
So if it's just a regular sub, you'll definitely want to like ask them for addresses of homes that they've done work on, because anybody can pull like some pictures off the internet, right?
Right.
But you want to like ask for, hey, like let me see some of the addresses. Let me go by there.
Okay.
Maybe get some referrals, some references. Make sure that they're insured. And just kind of make sure that they're on the up and up. If you're working with a builder per se, or a GC or whatever, you want to ask, let me see how many HUDs you have, or let me see your permits. Like, let me see how many permits you've opened and closed. How long of a time span was it from when you opened this permit and when you closed it? Because a lot of times they'll sell you and say, oh, I can get this done in 6 months or whatever, but if it's 12 months, that's costing you money because you got to make those payments every month.
Yeah.
So it's like, and a lot of times people, a lot of times people gas themselves or boost themselves and make it seem like they're doing more than what they are. So you want to actually, I tell everybody, even when it comes to people like asking you for money or to invest in something, we kind of get a little, or I don't know, if we feel uncomfortable asking for certain things, but you have to act like you're the bank. What would the bank ask for? Like if you're proposing to me, oh, I want you to invest in my company, I need $20,000 from you. I need to ask you, well, let me see the financials of your company. Let me see 6 months of bank statements. Let me see, like, why do you need $20,000 from me? Why couldn't you go to the bank?
Right.
Like,
right.
what's your P&L? What's your, like, we need to get comfortable asking these questions to people because when they run off with your check, it's like, well, it's you kind of left yourself wide open. And after taking enough losses, you start to realize, you know what? No.
Like, you learn the hard
you
way.
You learn.
Yeah. Okay. I know that's right. That's good stuff. So, what would you recommend for anybody that's interested in getting it? Oh, well, two things. Anybody that's interested in getting into the construction side of things, and then also, in your terms, explain for the viewers the difference between a GC and a developer.
Okay. So a developer Myself, I'm a developer. So a developer does not do the actual build and does not have to warranty the work. The developer basically purchases the land, and they float the cost. They hire someone to actually perform the work. It's not self performed. So that's what a develop. But the developer then, they pay the GC a flat fee, and then they sell the project. A builder is actually managing all of the subs, and they have to not insure, but they have to warranty the work.
Okay.
So if anything happens with that project or that property, like let's say you purchased the property from me, and like 2 years from now there's something going on, the builder is responsible for that, not me. So it just depends. Now the builder can be a developer as well, but typically it's like one or the other.
Okay.
And for your other question, you said how would someone get into it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just really depends. I always tell people, because a lot of people, they fall in love with, like, I guess the lifestyle or the glitz and the glam, and it's like, it's not all glitz and glam.
Right.
So if you're only doing it for the money, like, don't do it. And that's with anything. Like, you should definitely be passionate about it, or find your niche or what area about this that you really like. Because if it's only the money is going to run out, and you're not going to keep going once you run out of gas. So align yourself with someone that's doing it, someone that you trust. Don't ask for anything without offering something in return. A lot of people want free game or free this or free that, but it's like anybody that's successful is not going to pour into you if you're not pouring into yourself.
Come on.
So it's like, if you're not spending the time and the resources to try to figure things out, and you're not even trying to do anything to move the needle, then you can't just knock on somebody's door and say, hey, can you mentor me? Like the old adage says, it's like, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So like, when you start to like engulf yourself in this and people see you like trying, they're going to offer you help, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's good. I like that. Okay. So one last question. Because we talk, entrepreneurship, legacy, and generational wealth. So how would you define legacy or generational wealth for you or your family?
For me, it would just be, I guess, changing, like making a shift. So like forging a new path that's already pretty much like in motion, and you can just kind of step into it and take it to the next level. So for me, that's how I would describe it. And then just changing the mind, getting people more educated on how to manage resources and how to really build true sustainable wealth. It's not just, opening up credit cards and getting lines of credit. Like, it's so much more to it, it's layers.
Yes.
And everything doesn't require you to go out and start an S corp right away, or everybody doesn't need a trust right away. Like, you don't even have nothing for the trust to protect, So like, what is like, it's just so much misinformation out here, miseducation of us, you know, typically. So just really like truly educating us properly, so that you're not kind of doing goofy stuff.
I love that. It's so important. And legacy, I love that new path, forging a new path. And so, have you brought your son? Has he really
in the fold?
Yeah.
So he's doing his summer internship with me.
Okay.
So he's learning how to read blueprints.
We're
actually starting 2 new projects from ground up. We just did the rebar, so we're about to pour foundation.
Okay.
So he'll be able to see everything from start to finish without the interruption of school right now.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's exciting. How does he feel? Does he have an interest? I mean, like, is he?
Yeah, he has. So my company is named after him. So
okay, you better be interested. No,
this is waiting on you.
Your legacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we get out of here, why don't you tell the viewers where they can find you at your tax services if you're taking on new clients, and your other construction business.
So you can go to austinfinancialtax.com. You can find us on Instagram at Austin Financial. My personal page is Courtney Austin. That's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and yeah.
Okay. And so even for that's for both businesses, or that's just
For
the
the
one?
construction,
Yeah, the
the
construct.
construction is Cooper and Logan Capital Partners.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, you guys heard it here, and I hope you got some value out of what she shared today. If you're looking to expand your portfolio, thinking about changing the path of real estate, that maybe if you're, a realtor, but looking at trying to do something a little bit more on the investor side, I would say definitely watch this lady and see what she's done, build a relationship with her. I am happy to be in an alliance with her. So I thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, this has been another episode of the Level Up Alliance podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. If you have any other questions that you want to find out about what we're doing in the future, stay tuned and we'll be back in touch with you. Thank you.